What's going on, guys? It's AG here. So today we're going to be taking a look at the best case and worst case scenario for the Ohio State Buckeyes going into the season. I already have a full preview up, so if you're interested in that, go ahead and check that out on my channel. But here we're just going to do a best case, worst case scenario when it comes to the schedule, so what their record could be. We know they're replacing Kyle McCord. Will Howard comes in as most likely the starting quarterback from Kansas State. They loaded up in the portal. You got Caleb Downs coming in from Alabama. You've got Quinshon Judkins coming in from Ole Miss. You got TreVeyon Henderson back at running back. You've got Ibuka back at receiver. They have some key pieces coming back, and they have some good pieces coming in from the portal. But they also lost, Marvin Harrison. Last year, they were good, but also they let a lot of teams hang around that if they do that again this year, they might lose some of those games. So like last year, for example, they let Indiana hang around with them. They let Notre Dame hang around with them. They let Penn State hang around with them. If they do that again, they might be in trouble because they actually have one of, if not the toughest schedules in the Big Ten this year. They get a lot of the tough teams. A lot of these teams avoid each other. So like Oregon and Penn State, for example, they don't play each other. But Ohio State's got to play both of them. They got to play Michigan. They got to play Iowa. Those are probably my four other top five teams in this conference. So it's going to be difficult for Ohio State to go undefeated. Now, playoff is expanding, so you can probably lose 2 games out of those I mentioned and still make the playoff. But let's look at it, best case, worst case scenario. We're not going to talk about every game, but I'm going to kind of fly through this. I think there's like 4 losable games on this schedule. So these first 3, they're going to win no problem, I think. Michigan State, they've got a lot of issues. Roster turnover, coaching turnover, you're going to win that one. But then we get to this one. All right, Iowa, I think they can easily handle Iowa. Now, Iowa's defense is going to be strong, but we know their offense usually struggles a little bit, and it's in the shoe, so I think Ohio State will be all right there. Now, this one right here, Oregon at Oregon, is going to be tough in Eugene. Think back to, was it 2021, I believe, where they played in the non-con, and Oregon beat them. So I still have my question marks on Oregon if they're going to play weekend, if they're going to be able to play week in and week out of Big Ten football. But if they can, Ohio State might be in trouble here, especially coming off that Iowa week. I think Ohio State can beat them, but if we're talking worst case scenario, I think they could lose to Oregon here. But I think they're going to beat them, but worst case scenario, though, they could lose that game. Nebraska, you're hosting them. I don't think they'll lose that one unless they're looking at Penn State, but they should be able to win that game nonetheless. Now, Penn State, all right, similar to the Oregon game, you've got this one away. So it's going to be a whiteout game. You're going to hear Mo Bamba playing in the background. If they mess around too much, we saw how close that game was last year. Penn State's improved, I think. I think they're better than they are last year. They bring back a ton. Their defense is absolutely loaded. If you screw around with Penn State too much, Penn State's going to beat Ohio State. I don't think they're going to. Spoiler alert, realistically, what I think Ohio State's going to do, I think they're going to go undefeated this year. But if they screw around, this is another game they could lose in a worst-case scenario. Purdue, that's an easy win. They're kind of in shambles right now with Jeff Brom gone. Northwestern lost a ton. I know they were pretty good last year, but as far as 8 wins, but they won't be any good this year. Indiana, now that's another one I talked about how last year they kind of let Indiana hang around a little bit. Now by the end, the score separated, but I think going into the fourth quarter, this game was really tight if I remember correctly last year. Now Indiana is going to be improved. I think they've loaded up that roster with Kurt Cignetti from James Madison, but Ohio State will still win this game. It's in the shoe. They'll be fine. Now this last one, all right, this is the team they've struggled with as of late. Now Michigan loses almost everybody. All right, McCarthy's gone, Blake Corum's gone, Jim Harbaugh's gone. The defense is going to be good. Their lines are good. And then you've got Donovan Edwards at running back. Now, their question mark is quarterback. Right now, it's most likely Alex Orji. They brought him in for some Wildcat packages last year. I think Ohio State should be able to beat them. But again, Michigan could be in Ohio State's head. Sharon Moore could be in Ryan Day's head. So worst case scenario here for the season, I think Ohio State loses 3 games. That being Michigan, Penn State, and Oregon. Best case scenario, you go undefeated. You're the number 1 seed going in the college football playoff. Realistically, as of right now, I got them going undefeated. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if they lose one of those 3 mentioned games. That I think 1 loss is a lot more likely than 2 losses, but I think they're going to go undefeated this year. And worst case scenario, like I said, I think they lose 3 games. But Let me know down in the comments section, what is your worst case scenario for Ohio State this year? What is your best case scenario record-wise for Ohio State? Let me know. Comment down below, make sure to like this video, and most importantly, subscribe.